Journey across the globe, from Scotland to China, with world's greatest train ride videos. Experience the breathtaking thrill and adventure of authentic train travel as you follow the tracks to unique history, fascinating people, and breathtaking scenery. All aboard!
It's a lopsided country. Two cities, Sydney and Melbourne, account for 42% of the total population. 8 Australians out of 10 live on the East Coast. 87% of the inhabitants live in cities. Australia has the highest rate of urbanization in the world. Its history begins with the English sailing ships. Here we have an exact replica of the Bounty, famous the world over for the mutiny which took place not far from here in Tahiti in 1789. It was right at that time that the British colonization began. 20 sailors, 136 feet long, with a battery of 4 cannons.
Teamwork. Yo. Good to have you.
The Opera House is to Sydney what the Eiffel Tower is to Paris, the symbol of the city. Sydney is built along the shores of a bay which spreads out into the land. Here's the bridge which connects the two halves of the city. The Opera House was financed entirely through a special national lottery. The Queen of England inaugurated it on the 20th of October, 1973, which shows that the Australians still have sentimental ties to the British Crown. All the big cities in Australia are on the coast. Canberra, the city furthest inland, is only 75 miles from the coast. The harbour is a kind of downtown area where the ferries cross back and forth. The northern part of the metropolitan area beyond the pass is being rapidly developed. The main bridge can no longer handle all the traffic, so the ferry's business is picking up. The metropolitan area of Sydney counts 4,200,000 inhabitants, a fourth of the whole country's population. The typical Australian no longer exists. It used to be the tall, blonde Anglo-Saxon. Since the end of the Second World War, there have been successive waves of immigration, first Europeans, then more recently Asians. Now they only admit immigrants with a fairly decent level of education. In spite of these precautions, the influx of Asians and the investment of Japanese capital is resented by a part of the population. They would like to keep Australia white, which was the official policy of the 50s and 60s. Martin Place, financial and commercial center. When the lunchtime crowd pours out of the office buildings, they find a band to entertain them while they have their sandwich. You might call this country a middle-class paradise. Australians are very pragmatic, and their primary concern is security, comfort. On this count, they've succeeded. They have a standard of living almost as high as the Americans. The goal is to be like everyone else, to make an honest but unspectacular success of one's life. Yet that word comfort has disturbing overtones, conformism, or even conformity. The absence of competition, especially in the intellectual domain, gives rise to a vacuity, a certain dullness in daily life which afflicts the entire country, made up of one huge middle class.
Thank you. We'll do one more song here. Thank you very much. Lord, that was huge tweet there.
These facades date from the Victorian era, the golden age of the British Empire. Australia, in its pursuit of progress, is turning more and more to the Pacific Rim and the USA. In spite of that, it still maintains an almost touching attachment to British grandeur. And yet their pioneer ancestors, those first Englishmen and women who landed on January 28, 1788, were deported convicts guarded by the army. At that time, the island was inhabited by Aborigines. They were quickly decimated, and today the remaining Aborigines are practically outcasts.
Port arms! To the right, fall out.
The New South Wales Corps shall now fire a salute after preparing it with the brown-based muskets to His Illustrious Majesty, King George III.
The first convoy was composed of 600 men and 200 women, as well as 100 copies of the book, An Exhortation to Chastity. For the most part, these criminals had been convicted for what would today be considered minor crimes, even misdemeanors: purse snatching, poaching, prostitution. Most of the convicts were allowed to move about freely within a few months of their arrival, for it was, in fact, more a question of populating a new colony than of punishing wrongdoers. Australian folklore is still full of songs that go back to those pioneering days. Back to Sydney. The city has bought itself an amazing toy, this monorail. A train every 6 minutes makes a loop of the downtown area. It even cuts into the buildings for stops at several department stores.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next stop is City Centre Station.
Thanks to the topography of the fjord, with its sinuous shoreline and deep inlets, there are beaches right within the city. The beaches. The entire Australian coastline is practically one vast beach. Despite its distance from Europe and the USA, less so from Japan, Australia will probably be the big tourist spot of the next century. King's Cross is the honky-tonk district. The neighborhood has been colonized by the recent immigrants from Asia. Australians of pure stock look like tourists.
Why don't you give me a kilogram?
The main station. We're getting ready for our grand voyage, crossing the country.
Yeah, all right, that'll be. That gets in here Thursday morning, Bill. Preferably non-smoking again if possible.
Here at the depot, we see Jim White, the locomotive engineer we met with his family on the picnic. With his assistant, he's come to take charge of his locomotive. What's so particular about these Australian railroads? Well, it all started on a very modest scale in 1836 with a simple mining train on the island of Tasmania. The railroads then spread out from the capitals of the major states, each state very protective of its own rights. So each state constructed its own system, and they ended up with 3 different gauges for the tracks: 42 inches, 56 inches, and 63 inches, and that complicates transportation quite a bit. The Union Pacific is the only one with a single standard gauge on the whole line. That's the journey we'll be taking. Sydney to Perth on the other end of the continent. It'll be a 3-day, 9-hour train ride to cover the 2,476 miles. It's one of the longest lines in the world.
Okay.
Your bed, seat, and 3 meals a day are included in the price of the ticket. Drinks are extra. We're on our way. The train has 2 locomotives and 16 cars, including 2 bar cars and a dining car. Jim is 46 years old. He has a 38-hour work week, but he can work up to 57 hours, which would increase his pay by a quarter. He gets 5 weeks vacation a year.
Okay, thank you.
The second-class bar car. Just a few hours ago, they didn't know each other. Now they're all involved in a game of Trivial Pursuit. People get to know each other quickly on these long trips.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
The second-class seated passengers. They don't get to use the bar cars or the dining car, but they do have access to 2 showers per car.
Come in.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Barnes. Coffee.
Thank you very much.
A luxury compartment, double bed, armchairs, and round-the-clock service.
Okay, no trouble.
A first-class sleeping car, bathroom with shower. It should be mentioned that showers are quite a rarity in the world of trains. The Trans-Siberian doesn't have them, neither do the American trains nor the Canadian trains, even though they also do trips of several days.
Lunch today, Peter and Ross, you're doing the economy sleepers. Okay? Jenny, Trish, and Charlie are
The work
first
assignments.
sitting.
The crew is young, dynamic, very helpful, and quite
Okay,
easygoing.
the second sitting. Jenny can do the front 4, Trish do the back left, and the other side as well. Right?
One vegetarian.
Anything from the bar?
Yes, please. An orange juice.
One orange juice.
From who's in the bottle?
Lemonade. One mineral water. Plain or flavoured?
Yeah, plain mineral water.
Plain? Okay.
a drink, then I'll let it all.
It's the end of a shift. They work 2 days on and 2 days off. They have their own sleeping car.
You see how much sympathy I get?
You colouring your dog? Do you know you colouring your dog?
Hey, Mama. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, spare one?
Yeah. Well, I'm in trip. Let's open one of our heads. All right. Don't listen to me.
Should have another one.
As beer drinkers, the Australians are right up there with the Germans and the Belgians. 120 litres per person per year. World class.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The train will shortly arrive at Adelaide. There will be an announcement made.
Late afternoon on the second day out, we're pulling into Adelaide, Australia's third largest city. We're running on time. Our average speed is not very high, around 38 miles an hour. Top speed is around 72 miles an hour.
We thank you for your patronage and trust that your journey has been a pleasant one. Thank you and good afternoon.
Jim is finishing his shift. The new crew is coming on. Cooks, waiters, stewards, 16 in all to take care of around 230 passengers.
Bye-bye. See you.
On film again.
Oh, yeah.
Jim heads back home on the night train.
Hurry up. Come on. Come on. Come on.
He lives out in the country about 60 miles from Sydney, not far from where he was born. When he was a kid, he had a horse, and he's always had one ever since. Here it's a tradition, not a luxury. When you live out here in the country, a horse is pretty much standard equipment. Allison, Jim's wife, 41 years old. Jim's mother lives in the house next door. The family is of Irish stock. They've been here for 5 generations. When Jim was 16, his father, a coal miner, had a bad accident. Jim had to quit school and go to work. He started out sweeping floors in a small local station. Then he handled the baggage, cleaned the locomotives, and finally became an engineer. Soon, he'll be promoted to supervisor in charge of on-the-job training of the apprentices. He's had an exemplary career. Allison's side of the family came from England 3 generations ago. Jim earns a good living, so Allison doesn't need to have an outside job. She can devote her time to raising the children. Jim will retire at 60. When he does, he and Allison will buy a trailer and spend their time traveling around the country, camping by the rivers and the seashore. Jim loves fishing. And from time to time, they'll come to visit their children in the city. Jim and his fellow railwaymen stage a great train robbery. Allison is president of the local tennis club. There are only 7 members, but their little town of 300 inhabitants has 2 courts. It's quite normal. It gives you an idea of the community facilities down here. Their front door opens out onto the wide open spaces dear to all Australians. The Blue Mountains, blue because of the eucalyptus trees that cover their slopes. The eucalyptus, native to Australia, releases fine droplets of oil, which give the air a blue tinge. Without the eucalyptus, there would be no koala bear. The teddy bear was modeled after the koala, who is just as soft and cuddly. A refined connoisseur, the koala will eat only 1 species of eucalyptus leaves, almost 3 pounds a day. 2 thumbs for 5 fingers on each paw, the better to grasp the branches. They spend very little time on the ground. The kangaroo is also a marsupial, which means that the young develop in a pouch, not in the mother's womb. There are 47 different species, from the kangaroo rat, only 9 inches long, up to the big reds, 8 feet tall, who hop along at 30 miles an hour and cover 40 feet in a single leap.
You gotta get it down in the flat.
Down in the... Oh, have you given up?
Yeah.
Down in the valley. I
What's that? Who sings that?
Down in the valley.
Down in the valley.
It's a very old song.
Never heard of it.
What's down in the valley? Two mountains, and what's in the middle? The valley. There's me, Ravine River. The gorge.
You two in a minute, Mom.
So,
Nice to make these
In the middle of the morning, the train takes a last curve before going on to set a world record. It accomplishes this exploit on every trip. It's the record of the longest straight run by a train in the universe. 273 miles without a hint of a curve. Absolutely straight track all the way to the vanishing point on the horizon. This desert has been named Nullarbor, which means without trees. cook. The custom is to buy a t-shirt at the gift shop. Part of the proceeds go to the tiny local hospital. It looks like it doesn't get too much business.
That's the Indian Pacific. Yep. Yeah, I'll have. All aboard. All aboard is going aboard. Gotta get down here.
Kalgoorlie, an amazing little town, conserved in the original style, a piece of the golden legend of our time, and even today the town is still chasing that pot of gold. Gold, seek and ye shall find. The style is Gold Rush 1892, the year the town was founded, the year an Irish vagabond came across a gold nugget lying on the ground. Within a week, 700 men had rushed in. There's so much gold that they call this the richest square mile in the world. Within 10 years, the population of the region had mushroomed to 100,000, and the towns to 30,000. A pipeline 350 miles long supplies the town with water. It takes 2 weeks to get here. They mine right in the middle of town. Nowadays, they prefer to avoid tunneling, so they use open pit mining, even if they do have to go down very deep. The big mining companies draw their profit from the huge volumes of earth they process with a fine-tooth comb. All they need to make it worth their while is 7/100ths of an ounce of gold per ton. The smaller operations have to extract a minimum of 30 to 35/100ths of an ounce per ton to show a profit. That doesn't stop them from continuing to use the old methods if they're mining a good vein. Australia has tremendous mineral resources. It is the world's leading iron exporter, ahead of Brazil. It has a fabulous wealth of coal, 2,000 years worth. It exports tin, nickel, manganese, iron, and coal to Japan, Korea, Taiwan. The economic dynamo of the Asian dragons draws Australia inexorably away from Europe. Gold is a fairly common metal, but it is rarely found concentrated in one spot. It's one of the heaviest metals. A gold lingot weighs 77 pounds. The pioneering days, they panned the earth by hand. They dug by candlelight. And the bank was right nearby to cash in on the nuggets. There's nothing left from those days but the bare bones. Some of these ghost towns are not even that old. They were founded when the price of gold was way up and abandoned when it plummeted. This town was founded in 1894, deserted in 1898, brought back to life in 1964, then re-abandoned in 1968. The town has been taken over by the emus, a flightless bird, the Australian ostrich. There's still a spirit of rugged individualism out here, the one-man venture. Take Bill, who haunts these ghost towns. Believe it or not, he came very close to being a millionaire. Now, relentless, he keeps on prospecting alone in this arid landscape where he's lived all his life. He pans by hand. The gold flakes settle to the bottom. Here's his story.
I was prospecting over these hills, and I came across here, down the creeks, and discovered a big porphyry contact, and hit a lot of gold here. When I found this gold, it was very, very rich. Companies offered me millions of dollars for the mine.
It was in royalties. What Bill modestly keeps to himself is the fact that he was never paid, and that he just barely managed to get back his claim when the mining company went bankrupt. So he's back to square one, but he's not bitter. He still lives in this corrugated aluminum shack with a bit of paint slapped on. It's no four-star hotel. Bill Powell is not the only one to pursue the quest of gold or precious stones. There are thousands of solitary adventurers out there like him. There are just some people who are drawn to the emptiness of these limitless horizons, rather than to the glamour of the big cities. And who knows, one just might strike it rich. Bill brings his findings to his friend, John. His gold extracting mill is one of the last in the region. These pistons crush the gravel down to dust, which is then watered down. The liquid mud is run over a mercury-covered plate. Mercury attracts gold. The two metals can then be easily separated. The loss is less than 3%. Bill is convinced that he will become a millionaire very soon, and he shows off this nugget he found on his land. The rumor going around these parts is that Bill may even have struck a mother lode richer than those fabulously rich veins of South Africa.
Knocking 30 minutes before breakfast.
The wake-up call.
Good morning. It's approximately 30 minutes before breakfast.
Perth, end of the line. The train is an hour and a quarter late. Nothing, considering we've just come 2,476 miles. Perth is a fairly young city. Even the old town, an imitation of London, is new. Downtown, a vast cultural complex where modern art is the dominating theme. We find the traditional Australia here in the lawn bowling clubs, steeped in old-fashioned charm. To say that these clubs have an exclusive membership policy would be putting it mildly. One must be co-opted by a member, one of these white-haired ladies with their warm or withering smiles. There are also seniors' men's clubs, in all 120,000 players. To make the game more difficult, the balls are off-center. There's a strict dress code, uniform dress and uniform hat. It's all regulated, even down to the length of the skirts. One Sunday a month, men are invited, but only for 2 hours. 5 years ago, one of the players dared to show up in a navy blue blazer. They are still talking about it. Fremantle, the port of Perth. This is where we'll find the finest pub in Australia. Here on the west coast is where the sailing ships from Europe would put in after coming around Africa. The sailors, exhausted after weeks of solitude, would come here and breathe the atmosphere of merry old England. It's been conserved down to the smallest details, the thick woodwork, the leather, the etched mirrors. Perth is a city open to the sea breeze. Western Australia, bolstered by its rich mineral resources, is evolving rapidly.
Welcome all you sailors bold, and when my tale is told, oh, I know that you all will pity me. For I was a bloomin' fool in the port of Liverpool on the time when I was first paid off from sea. Oh, it's Maggie, Maggie, May, they have taken you away to dwell upon my demon's cruel shore. 'Cause you brought many
Sail and rail. The two words have the same evocative power, the same poetic resonance. The railroad line and the shipping line, the two arteries that will continue to pump the precious lifeblood of the region. The ore, shipped into Perth by train, shipped out by sea. The two reasons why, they say, the region around Perth will be the Australia of the 21st century.
Upon Van Diemen's cruel shore, for you from many a whaler and many a drunken sailor, now you'll never cruise round Liverpool anymore. Oh, and I steered into her, well, I hadn't got a care. I was cruising up and down Old Cannon Place. She was dressed in a gown so fine, like a frigate of the line, and I, being a sailor, I give chase. But it's Maggie, Maggie May, they have taken you away to toil upon Van Diemen's cruel shore. For you are many a whaler and many a drunken sailor, now you'll never cruise round Liverpool anymore.
See you on the next World's Greatest Train Ride Video Adventure.